Yes, your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to another episode of My 2 Cents. This morning we're looking at the effects of the coronavirus as it continues to spread. What are governments and central banks doing around the globe? Well, at least we know what's going on here in the United States. Yesterday, we had the FOMC meeting, and of course, the Fed looks to keep things stable with no rate cuts this go round. Well, that's really because things haven't really heated up with this whole coronavirus situation. I've said for a week and a half now that the coronavirus could be that black swan event for the markets because we can't do anything to stop people from fearing this virus. We can't stop. Money won't fix it. Money printing will not make people go out and buy stocks or believe in the companies that are traded on the US stock market and even, exchanges around the world. So this could possibly be that event, that black swan event. Black swans are something, an event that none of us thought would hit us. It comes out of nowhere. That's why they call it black swan. It's one of those things you rarely see. And a possible pandemic, it's not one yet, but a possible pandemic is definitely one that policymakers both in the Fed monetarily and on Capitol Hill fiscally never would have seen coming. And so we're going to look at the European markets and how they're taking this whole thing, and also could this be, as I've stated, the catalyst for an economic downturn? This is something that RT asks, and this virus is causing such effects to where we're seeing McDonald's shutting down restaurants in 5 Chinese cities. And so we'll take a look at all of this in a second. But before we start, if you guys find these types of videos informative, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to receive more videos like this. So first, let's take a look at what the markets did yesterday. It took back all the gains they had essentially intraday. The Dow opened up very strongly to start the week, but quickly sold off, as you can see, and it tried to rally back and sustain those levels, but ultimately couldn't, and only closed 11 points up to 28,734 bucks. Gold doing slightly better, up 0.5% today, 1,585 bucks at the time of recording, and Bitcoin up 121 bucks at 9,342 bucks, above that 9,000 marker critical level. But honestly, 9,000 is not the level we should be looking out for, but instead 94.63 is that red line you see there. We're bumping up against that. There is some resistance at that point, but if we can get past 9,400, well, we're going to see a hard acceleration up, I think, to take out 10,000. So that's a critical level we're watching right now in the Bitcoin markets. But what else is going up? Well, the coronavirus confirmed cases, looking similar to Bitcoin, to be honest with you. We're currently at the time of recording is over 6,000 cases, confirmed cases, and 102 in other countries. But look at this. It's starting to spread in the United States. And again, I'm not a fear-mongering type of individual, but the thing about the coronavirus you have to keep in mind is that it could be asymptomatic for over 14 days at its max. So that means a person will have no symptoms of the virus but be contagious. So there is no telling how many people in the United States and abroad actually have this thing. So we got one case that reported on before in Washington, 2 in California, 1 in Arizona, and 1 in Illinois. That's a little bit too close to Michigan for me. I'm getting a little uncomfortable here. And just look at this thing starting to spread from the epicenter of Wuhan, and it's just trickling and spreading out just like the disease itself in the human body. But look, that's not the part that I want to focus on today. It's more so the economic costs or effect on global markets. European markets are expected to open lower Thursday, weighed on by a rising coronavirus death toll and reacting to the United States Federal Reserve decision to keep interest rates on hold. The coronavirus continues to be a focus for international markets. The outbreak has already taken more than 170 lives and infected more than 7,711 in China, according to the latest update by China's National Health Commission, in which we know we can't believe those numbers. They've been really suspicious in the way they've acted with this from the get-go. They wanted to keep things kind of on the hush, and of course, you can't listen to what they say. You have to watch what they do, and the way they are acting with this particular virus lets us know that this is something they're very concerned about. Stocks in Asia slipped in Thursday afternoon trade on concerns over the virus, and markets were also subdued following the U.S. Federal Reserve decision to keep interest rates on hold. The Central Bank's Federal Open Market Committee on Wednesday said that it would hold its benchmark fund rate at between 1.5% to 1.75%. The decision marked the second straight meeting the Fed made no changes to rates following 3 consecutive reductions in 2019. The central bank affirmed its commitment to nudge up inflation to the 2% level. That imaginary 2% level they always stick to, but we know it's way above 2%. I don't know why they keep this 2% in their mind. It makes no sense. In Europe, though, it says the Brexit is on the agenda, with the European Parliament meeting for the last time Thursday ahead of the UK's departure at 11 p.m. London time on Friday. Meanwhile, in the UK, on Thursday, the Bank of England announced its latest interest rate decision, the last one to be made under its governor, Mark Carney. And as I've told you guys, that McDonald's is shutting down restaurants in 5 Chinese cities. You know, China's so big, so to see that, I don't know which cities they are, and we're going to look at that, but 5 cities could be like all the major cities in the United States combined. You know, China's so big. Fast food chain McDonald's has announced it will halt operations in 5 cities in China's Hubei province, where the new deadly coronavirus is believed to originate. The suspension comes into effect on Friday. The restaurant chain has dozens of locations in the region, including in its city, Wuhan, which is considered to be the epicenter of the virus. But apart from Wuhan, where most infections have occurred, McDonald's will close restaurants in 4 other cities. The company says that the quote-unquote temporary measure is introduced for the employee and customer health and safety. Chinese authorities have placed several cities on lockdown, restricting movement for over 30 million people to halt the spread of the virus. And so this article, I just want to highlight this. This article says confirmed cases, 900. I'm going to show you when this article was put out 5 days ago. Okay. And I just want to show you, this is an article from the Washington Post put out just about 14 hours ago. So in 5 days, we go from 900 to 6,000. That's the issue with this. And you know, I've seen a lot of videos. I think Chris Martenson over at Peak Prosperity explains it the best because he actually has a background in this. Pathology and the spread of viruses. He put it the best. This virus is magnitudes more deadly than the swine flu virus and even SARS because of the projection. The rapid increase of infections shows that we are going to be in the hundreds of thousands within 30 days of confirmed cases of infection. So yeah, of course, the Fed is not going to lower interest rates right now because they got to keep some dry powder. They know this thing is going to be accelerating, meaning the coronavirus spreading. And so they can't jump out too early. They don't have far to go to zero. They've been very irresponsible for the last 10 years in not trying to get rates back up a long time ago. They should have done this a long time ago. They should have been at 4 or 5% interest rates a long time ago. And so if there was an issue like this, well, to go from 5% down to where we are today is orders of magnitudes less. Okay, so being that we're at 150 basis points doesn't leave much room for error. So, of course, they've got to hold on to that dry powder as much as they can, or as long as they can, I should say. And this is what RT talks about. And I said this last week when I did my first video about this, because I wanted to highlight, and I saw this was going to be an issue right away when I heard about this coronavirus. But RT asks the question, could the coronavirus be the recessionary catalyst that triggers a global economic downturn? And in this episode of Boom Bust, Danielle DiMartino Booth talks about this very thing. She believes so. RT says the markets could still grossly underestimate the consequences of the outbreak and are just hinging on the Fed's injection, says former Fed insider Danielle DiMartino Booth. And I agree with her. She says here that the markets are woefully underestimating the important economic impact globally of what this outbreak means, given that we started the year leaning on multinationals to charge out of the U.S. earnings recession and leaning on Germany to come out of its own industrial recession. That's not going to happen now with this virus spreading. Booth explained that the companies which were set to lead the U.S. out of the earnings recession are highly dependent on revenues and profits from overseas, and I want to interject probably a large majority in China. The coronavirus could easily impede this, but the markets may still press towards all-time highs because they're saying this bad news is good enough that it's going to actually cause Fed's liquidity injections to grow. And listen, it very may well cause them to bump this liquidity injection into the repo markets and into hedge funds, is what they're now talking about doing. It surely may. But guess what? There won't be enough money to even make digitally to cause people to stay in these markets if they're scared for their lives. If they see that these companies have to shut down, like McDonald's, shut down for weeks on weeks or even months. There are companies in China that are as big as what we would consider here as Apple and Amazon shutting down for weeks. Could you imagine that happening here? So my thing is, if this thing continues to spread, which I don't see any reason for it not to, because a vaccine won't be ready for at least 6 months, you're going to start to see this really take a toll on the markets. And now we're at a turning point. Now we're going to see a situation where the Fed won't be able to help. The Fed won't be able to prop this up. And so I'm just interested to see, and you guys let me know in the comments how you feel and what you think will happen. But I'm interested to see how the markets react and what the talking heads on CNBC primarily, and Bloomberg, but primarily CNBC. I want to see what these talking heads are going to say now. What is the Federal Reserve going to do now? But hey, that's just my 2 cents on the subject. Let me know yours in the comments below. And if you found this video informative, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to receive more videos like this. It's your boy Crypto Blood. I'm out of here. Holla!